filed the lawsuit? Excellent.
In 1989, did you do a four-concert set in Los Angeles Coliseum opening for the Rolling Stones?
Yes, we did.
I want to talk to you a little bit about some problems about drug use and drug problems up to and including that time. Is it fair to state that drug use, and when I mean by drugs, I mean hard drugs such as cocaine and heroin, were fairly common in Guns N' Roses almost from its inception?
Section on vague and ambiguous cause for conclusion.
Proceed.
Were any of, expect that, within a month or two of the time that Guns N' Roses formed, were you aware of any of its members doing drugs?
Yes.
Who?
I think everyone at different times with the exception, well no, everyone.
Okay. What kind of drugs, strike that, and when you say everyone, you witnessed everyone doing drugs. Is that correct?
Yes.
What kind of drugs did Duff use?
Vague and ambiguous at the time, Your Honor.
All right, would you specify the time, please?
During the, well, let's broaden it out and then we'll narrow it down. During the period of time between the formation of the band and March of 1990, what kind of drugs, if any, did Duff use?
Cocaine and various pills, but I would not be able to say whether they were prescribed or not.
Okay. When did you first see Duff using cocaine?
Objection, Your Honor. This is cumulative. It's section 352.
Well, it does appear to be cumulative as far as...
Well, I can withdraw this question and move on, Your Honor.
All right.
The court keeps authority well established. Did you have any problems during the Appetite for Destruction tour with any of your band members getting in trouble because of their drug use?
Section vague and ambiguous.
Overruled, you may answer.
Not that I remember.
Was Izzy arrested for heroin during the Appetite tour?
Objection. It's cumulative. Section 352, Your Honor.
Join. Also Rex Foundation.
Overruled, you may answer.
I don't believe it was during touring. Matter of fact, I think it was prior. I don't know.
I withdraw your own.
Objection appears well taken.
Is it fair to state, because I want to talk about your reaction to it, is it fair to state that 4 members of the band during the course of its existence partook in heroin in varying amounts?
Yes.
Those members being you, rarely,
Yes.
Izzy, Slash, and Steve Adler, correct?
Yes.
In September of 1989, did you make a statement about Mr. Brownstone at the Rolling Stones tour?
Yes.
Okay. And after that, did you send a message through management asking that Slash apologize publicly?
Yes.
You were concerned about his drug use at the time, is that correct?
Soon about everyone's drugs use.
Who else was using drugs besides him in September of 1989 when that took place?
It appeared to me that the band was a wreck. Meaning that everyone had some form of substance abuse.
And that was your reason for making that statement in public, to shock everybody into doing something about it, correct?
Yes, that, and I was sick of it.
Did the band sing a song from Appetite about heroin use, about what it's like to be on heroin? I should have said, did the band sing a song? Did the band do a song about that?
It's a song about attempting to avoid or kick the habit of heroin, get away from it, and getting away from it.
Okay.
Called Mr. Brownstone.
Was it talking about trying to get away from the habit or doing it or trying to get away from the habit while on tour? While doing performances?
All it's really talking about is heroin can be a nagging habit,
Okay.
and being annoyed at the nagginess of that habit.
Does one of the verses of the song start with the words, "The show usually starts around 7. We go on stage about 9. Get on the bus about 11. Sipping a drink and feeling fine." Is that one of the verses of the song?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And the chorus goes, "We've been dancing with Mr. Brownstone. He's been knocking. He won't leave me alone."
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Brownstone.
You're going to have the witness humming it.
Pardon? He could probably do much more justice to it than I, Your Honor.
Okay.
Mr. Brownstone is heroin, correct?
Yes, or anything.
Okay.
Any substance. I mean, it could be TV. I look at it in any way possible like that.
Well, the song goes on to say, "I used to do a little, but a little wouldn't do, so the little gets more and more." That referred to drug abuse, didn't it?
As I said, I think it refers to any form of substance abuse or emotional repressant. That's how I look at the song and always have.
Nice.
It's like, in its simplest terms, you can look at it as heroin, or you can do what you want with the song.
I got you. Where'd you pick up the word brownstone? Is that a word you made up, or
No,
what is it?
Izzy.
And what is the word brownstone mean?
It can be slang for heroin. It can be slang for anything. I know that I use it as slang for anything.
I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some things that took place after March of 1990, and I'd like to take you back to March of 1990. We've had somebody else already tell us about, but you may have a different recollection of it. You did the Stones tour in September of 1989 at the LA Coliseum,
We had
correct?
4 shows.
4 shows. It wasn't called a tour. It wasn't a tour. It was just 4 performances, correct?
It was 4 embarrassing evenings.
Why embarrassing?
It's just we were terrible.
Okay. And the next performance you did was Farm Aid in April of 1990. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay. And then, because you were busy rehearsing and recording Use Your Illusions, the next opportunity you had to perform publicly was in Rio de Janeiro at a rock festival called Rock on Rio, correct?
Yes.
All right. And you were a sellout in Rock on Rio, correct?
Yes.
All right. And when did that take place? When in 1990 did that take place? As best you can recall.
Beginning of the year, early 1990. Probably end of February.
Okay. And did you have discussions about how to accomplish this with anybody else?
Yes.
With whom?
Alan Niven and Doug Goldstein, Slash, Gov, Izzy, and Peter Paterno.
And do you remember these conversations all distinctly, or are they basically, in your mind, one conversation in which you were saying the same things?
I don't remember it very distinctly.
Did you and the band's management and the band's attorneys ever discuss the details of how you were going to change Steve Adler's status?
To a certain extent, yes.
Okay. What is the extent to which you participated in the discussion? What details were discussed in that?
Figuring out terms of probation,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
figuring out some of the terms of probation.
Okay.
I don't remember which things I agreed to or not, or even suggested, you know. And that if he couldn't get off drugs, he was gone.
Did you discuss with any of the people you described what would happen if he didn't get off drugs and he was gone, in terms of winding up his interest in the band?
No, as I stated in my deposition, I figure all of that would be negotiated at some point.
So, had you given any thought as of the time, you signed an agreement called the March 28th agreement, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay, and that's Exhibit 2, I think it's one of the documents before you. Do you need to look at it to know what I'm talking about, or? I can find it for you.
Depends on the questions.
The document, Exhibit 2.
Yes.
Okay, did you have ideas that you wanted in the document?
I wanted the members of Guns N' Roses, myself included, to be protected by the document.
Okay. Protected against what?
Situations such as today.
Didn't work.
No.
Well, you want to, excuse me, that calls for a witness's legal opinion.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, withdrawn.
And we don't know that one yet.
Well said. Well said. Put it quite literally, the jury isn't in on that one yet. You said you wanted to be protected. Did you sit down with Mr. Niven at any time and go over any draft of the agreement?
I don't remember sitting down. There may have been some over the phone. There actually may have been one time
remember going over any draft of the document before the document was presented to Steve for signature?
Clarification, counsel, reading it himself or discussing it with somebody else?
I do. Well, let me break it down.
To be honest, I don't remember. I can vaguely recall possibly, but then again, it may have been in other documents, and we're constantly signing documents, and I don't know if this was over the phone or in person.
You say you're constantly signing documents, and you've got recording agreements and producers agreements and
Yes.
and agreements like that. But what's your habit and custom when you have to sign a document such as a recording agreement for that sort of thing? You sit down and read it through cover to cover?
Depending on the document.
Okay. Did you sit down and read Exhibit 2 cover to cover before you signed it?
I don't remember.
Okay. Did you ever rely upon the advice of your managers or your lawyers as to what a document contained rather than sitting down and trying to analyze it yourself?
Yes, there have been many times I've done that.
Many times you what?
Many times I've done that.
Okay. Did you ever get together with other members of your band and ask questions of the managers or attorneys as to what the guts of the document was rather than analyze it yourselves?
Yes.
Do you have any recollection of suggesting any language for Exhibit 2?
Suggesting language? No.
Okay. Did you
They would have probably thrown my language out.
did you talk to Peter, who were you talking to about the language of the agreement as opposed to just the concept of putting Steve on probation?
Join, Your Honor.
All right, sustain.
Did you talk to anybody about the language of the agreement as opposed to just putting Steve on probation?
Well, that is part of the language of the agreement. The question is confusing, vague and ambiguous.
Yes, it's compound.
Okay. Was it your understanding that the document that was being drawn up was going to put Steve on some kind of a probation?
Yes.
What else did you understand that the document was going to do vis-a-vis Steve?
What
That
point in
is-
time?
Before you sign, at any time before you sign?
Please repeat the question.
I want to know what else you thought that that document was going to do, what effect you thought it was going to have, other than the fact that it was going to place Steve on a probationary basis. What else did you think it was going to do?
Well, if he didn't meet the requirements of the probation, that it was going to remove him from Guns N' Roses.
Okay. Did you think that the requirements of probation were going to be spelled out in the document? Like not using drugs or showing up to all rehearsals, that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Was it your understanding that that agreement would say something about drugs and not using them?
Yes.
Was that your understanding when you signed the document?
Objects being vague and ambiguous.
When you signed the document, did you believe the document contained something about drugs and not using them?
Objection, the document speaks for itself.
Road, you may answer.
I don't remember exactly, specifically, what I was thinking when I read the document, when I did sign it.
Did you read the document? Do you remember now that you did read the
I
document?
know that I read it.
What?
I know that I read it. I don't remember necessarily what I thought while I was reading it.
Did you ever have any conversations with anybody before March 28th about how you would go about buying out Steve or terminating his interest and his relationship with the band if probation didn't work out?
Objection, compound.
Join.
Road, you may answer. You have a question in mind?
No, I was never trying to figure out how to buy him out.
Okay. You knew that the agreement was going to place Steve on probation, correct?
Yes,
And that during that probationary period, he wouldn't have the status of partner anymore, correct? He'd just be an employee?
correct.
You knew the agreement had a provision by which if he could satisfactorily satisfy the conditions of probation, that is, operate to your satisfaction, he could be reinstated as a partner, correct?
Yes,
Okay, now, you knew, however, that the possibility existed that he might not be able to get off drugs and that if he didn't, he was going to flunk out and he'd be gone, correct?
yes,
Okay, now, did you sit down with anybody? Oh, sorry, I say sit down generically. Did you talk to anybody, either management or other band members or lawyers, about, look, what happens if he does flunk out and it ends? What are we going to owe this guy, and how are we going to pay it?
Well, you want to, the questions compound, and managers or lawyers, I would request an answer.
By rule, you can do that depending on the answer. The witness may answer.
I know that there were questions asked, but until the document was produced, there were no conclusions made or, ideas set in place of how it was going to be.
Okay. You say you know there are questions asked. Questions asked by who?
Me,
Okay. What were we asking?
what's going to happen?
What's going to happen if he doesn't make it? Did you ask
Yes.
that? Okay. And of whom did you ask that question?
Alan Niven, Peter Paterno, Doug Goldstein.